My name is Mohammad Ali. As my school children used to say, I float like a bee, sting like a butterfly. That is the inverse of the joke. So I got bullied. I'm going to be covering AI in Power BI. So Arun kind of went through it, but I'm going to kind of go through it in a slightly slower pace and just show you some of the innovation. That's me with my cats. If anyone likes cats, please come and see me after. I'll happily exchange photos. Arun went through the fabric plan. I'm going to be talking about Power BI very specifically, but I want to talk about two key things. So Arun kind of talked about Copilot in Fabric, Copilot in Power BI. I'm going to focus more on what we call Copilot accelerated experiences, which is how do we empower developers to make use of Copilot. The thing that Arun showed the demo for, that I was also going to show the demo for, but I won't show the demo for, is how we do chat with your data. So I won't spend too much time on this. I'll give you time to ask questions to me as well. So let's move forward. And I'm going to give, this is a demo. So a lot of this is going to be demos. This is just so I can make it a bit more entertaining. So if you guys are at the back, I would focus on the screens because most of this is going to be focused on the screen. How many of you watched the Great British Bake Off or know what that show is called? Okay, not enough. Okay, so the Great British Bake Off is a show where they basically give a task to participants and they say ready, steady, bake, and all the participants have to do the same thing. Whether it's a bake a cake, bake a cookie, you kind of get the picture. So every year we go to something called the BI Bake Off. Gartner hosts it. They invite the top 3 competitors on stage. Microsoft, or as in me, I was nominated to go. And we come up on stage and they give us a data set and they say ready, steady, analyze. And you're on stage, you're competing against Tableau, I'm competing against Qlik and Oracle, and I'm trying to do the analysis. And I'm going to show you the demo that I did live on stage. And we won, the users, the votes come in, and we won this year. But I want to show you, I did something unique this year that no other competitor did. I used only AI to do all the analysis. And one thing that we're really struck when I did this is just how fast I was able to get to a good analysis, faster than the competitors that were in the space. Now, I'll also add just one more piece of context. Gartner's data set in this year was on poverty data. So they say, can you analyze poverty? So my brain, don't ask me why, was like, let me look at Italy. Now, you might be concerned, why am I looking at Italy? Italy's 5th place ranked when it looks at I think it's government public spending. They're 5th ranked out of all the EU countries. If you look at population, they're 3rd ranked. You look at life expectancy, I think they're 5th. And GDP, I think they're 3rd as well. But if you look at poverty, specifically poverty, they are 44th ranked. They're at the bottom. Now, you might be wondering is, why is that the case? What's special about Italy? What's happening? So in Power BI, you can use the amazing visualizations in Power BI. You can click on a deep dive view of Italy, and I can click on poverty, and you'll see that there's a large divide between the north and the south. Now, people think it's because of the mafia. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. I'm here to tell you that there's other factors that contribute to that. So I could, in Power BI, use the amazing rich capabilities of Power BI, and I can kind of drill into all the different factors. So I'm going to go here and click on the top. I'm going to look at public spending. I'm going to look at the level of road conditions. And you can kind of see that the north has better road conditions than the south. Maybe this is what's causing the issue. I can look at population, and I can look at education. I can see the north has a better education than the south. These are some cool factors. Now, instead of me going variable by variable, thing by thing, and validating and cross-referencing against poverty, is there a faster way? And I'm here to tell you, yes, there is. So the first thing Gartner make you do is connect to the data, right? So I'm going to go into Power BI, and I'm going to go and use Power Query, which is how you connect to data. And I just want to show you, Power BI has access to hundreds of different connectors. SAP, Excel, databases, Snowflake, you name it, we have a connector for you to bring in that data. You can also connect to your enterprise data catalog directly inside Power BI, which Arun talked about. So you can see all the things that are promoted, certified, you can see who created it, so you can connect to the source of truth. Now, sadly, Gartner are not nice. They give you a data that is very terrible. They give you access to an Excel sheet, and the Excel sheet is very unclean. The columns aren't very clean. It's got missing rows, missing values, just the very typical problems that you would expect when dealing with Excel. Now, I could use the UI to clean up this UI, clean up the data, right? I can use the low code, no code UI, but we are in 2020. Now we can just type our requests away and have something do this for us. So I'm going to go ahead in my Copilot experience, and I'm going to ask a very simple question here. I'm going to say, can you remove the first row, and can you make the first row a header? So I'm just going to type this in. I'm going to ask Copilot to do my job for me. I'm going to hit enter here. And what you're going to see is, and it may be hard for you guys to see at the back, so I apologize, is actually does the steps that I would have done in the UI, actually creates those steps. And now you can see I have myself very clean column names on the data. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to remove these nulls. Now, when people come from Excel into Power BI, they used to have merge cells. Finance people love merge cells. Bring into Power BI, it creates nulls where you have merge cells. It's a very common problem in any BI tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Copilot to fill down, push down all the values for columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I didn't have to reference the columns by name. I could have said 1-5. I could have said every multiple of 5, and it would have known what I meant by that request. And it just shows you just the power that you get with Copilot. So I'm going to hit enter here, and I've got myself some nice clean data. Now, the most complex one I want to do is I've got this, my finance people love to put years at the top. I actually want to create a single year column. So I want to take everything that looks like a year and pivot it correctly into rows. Now, I'm not a tech-savvy user. I'm actually going to just type in that I just want to convert the years into rows. I'm not saying pivot. I'm not using the technical term. And guess what? I type that into Copilot. I paste it in here. Copilot not only understands that that's an unpivot or pivot operation, it also knows and identifies all the columns that are years. And so if I add a new year column tomorrow, guess what? The steps will be repeatable. It will automatically pivot it correctly for me. And now if I just scroll to the side, you can see I have a single year column and a single value column directly inside it. So I've cleaned up my data all using AI. And now I'm going to show you the last part. I don't think I hit play. 1 second. So I've got my data. I've got everything else. But now I need to create the analysis. So I just want to show you in Power BI, you have this, you can see your entire table. If you click on it, you can see all of the different socioeconomic factors for Italy here. So I've got over 1,000 measures that I want to go and cross-reference against poverty. I've got from education attainment, electricity attainment, GDP, GNI spend. And you can see this list goes on. That scroll bar is huge. Now, for me to go and cross-reference every single of these variables with poverty, I'll be there for a long, long time. And that is not what I want to be doing for my job. So what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to dock away the data pane, and I'm going to use Copilot to help me to do this journey much faster. So I'm going to click on Copilot. And the thing I love about Copilot is I can actually just get suggestions already made for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is can you suggest me things, analysis that I can do on top of this report? I'm going to click it, and it knows that I can do economic, trade, population, or health analysis already by just looking at the schema. It's done that automatically. I didn't have to give it any guidance. I'm going to ask it to do some economic analysis. And the thing I love about Copilot is the fact that it understands domains really well. It knows that the best way to measure a country's performance is GDP, GNI, and gross savings. Now, it's forgotten inflation. This is an important metric for me. So guess what? I can just type in the chat window, can you bring in inflation? Type that in, and I type it quite slowly on stage. I hit enter, and what it's going to do is it's going to find me the inflation metric, automatically, dynamically adjust this entire report for me, and then create me a beautiful report. And you're going to see, and this is live performance, by the way. There's no editing here. It brought in inflation, and it actually dynamically adjusted the entire page for me. This is all great, but Gartner were very mean. They say on stage, they give you a question that you want to do the analysis for. So my question was to analyze health and poverty. Now, while everyone else was scrambling, clicking little buttons, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to type in, can you analyze health and poverty directly into the pane? So I'm going to go into my Copilot pane, type in the question that the business user just gave me. I'm going to hit enter here. And what you're going to find is Copilot will actually start helping me along my journey of understanding poverty and health for Italy. So I'm going to hit enter here. It's going to take a couple of seconds. It's going to go through all of the different measures, all of the different things inside my semantic model that Arun talked about. And it's actually going to create me a report to give me a kickstart into my analysis. And so, again, I didn't fast forward any parts. This is me on stage. And it gives me a report. Now, I want to draw your attention to the top left-hand corner, this blue visual that shows you poverty headcount ratio over time. I did not know when I did the demo live on stage that the best way to measure a country's performance on poverty is to look at how much of the population can survive on $6.85. It's an industry term. And the great thing is if you look, okay, I show you the tooltip, it brought in the right metric. Out of the 20 other measures called poverty, it brought in the right metric. If you look at the health, it knows that the best way to measure people's health is to look at government health expenditure, to look at health expenses, life expectancy, undernourishment, infant mortality, suicide mortality. These are the industry standards. I didn't guide it. Copilot was able to easily find and bring that for me inside this experience. And the great thing about Copilot is it's an assistive experience. I can directly just modify the page as I want to see fit. I can bring things here, but I will now use my most coolest feature. Sometimes Arun, I'm sure he's going to hate this, prefers text than visuals. He likes someone to provide him a text summary of what's happening on the page. So Arun says, can you go on, use Copilot to do that? And guess what? We have a summary visual that allows you to summarize all of the data and creates nice bullet point format for you very easily. Now, Arun likes things in short sentences. He wants it snappy. He wants the facts really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and just adjust my Copilot prompt and says, can you give it to me in short sentence form? I'm going to hit update here, and it's going to adjust these bullet points into complete sentences, in short sentences for Arun. Now, it also gives you these little numbers. It's kind of hard to see for the back, but if I click on these little numbers, it actually tells me which part of this text came from which part of the page. So it helps Arun know and trust that the AI is actually doing the right thing. So you can click on these little numbers and it tells him that this part comes from this visual, this part comes from this visual, and it does that here. But sometimes Arun will have an idea and he'll be like, okay, cool, but Mo, like, what is the highest, what GA had the highest poverty rate? He'll ask me questions on the fly. This is the chat with the data experience that Arun talked about. So the great thing is you can just go ahead and type in your meetings, in your Teams meetings, in your PowerPoint presentations, the question, and you can get the answer directly inside View. So in this case, it says that the year that had the highest poverty is 1993, and you can kind of see on the visual here. But let's imagine Arun asked a question that I didn't prepare for. Let's assume he asked, what is the year-over-year rate for poverty? And someone who created the semantic model forgot to add in year-over-year rate. Well, the great thing about Copilot is it can actually do dynamic calculations, on-the-fly calculations. Arun doesn't need to export it to Excel and break that trust with me. He can actually just go ahead and ask Copilot, can you do a year-over-year calculation since 2015? And what you'll see is Copilot will send the queries and do that calculation for him directly inside the view. So I just typed that in here. On stage, I got a bit trigger happy. I went zoom crazy just so you guys can see at the back. And you can just see it just did the calculation directly inside the fly here. And so this is just some of the ways you can do an end-to-end thing. This is the entire demo that I showed at Gartner. It's a very fast-paced bake-off style. But I just want to give you a kind of taste of how the demo went.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. To stay on time, we do have a few minutes for questions from the audience.
For sure.
Any questions here for Mohammed?
There's questions in the middle. I don't know how you're going to get the thing there.
Hi, Sam Najib here. I'm a consultant in the data and AI space. So we see the awesome how can AI can help and answer questions and things like that. When a data analyst look at this, they get freaked out like, hey, am I losing my job, right? So how can we assure data analysts that with the help of AI, you becoming a more productive data analyst versus we are taking your job away? How can we validate what AI agents are providing for business? Because AI doesn't have the business context.
Yeah.
You know, business analysts understand, you know.
I'm going to answer your question with a part of the demo.
Because, yeah, that's all. Just
no, it's a really good question. I get asked this a lot is, have I lost my job? And I haven't lost mine yet. So
thank you.
In the product, and I'm going to just go into full screen here, just so you can see it. I don't know. Is it me? Is it better now? Okay, it's good. Sorry. Okay. Okay, I'm going to hit play here just so you guys can see it. So a data analyst, actually, they have more responsibility. So in the product, we have this prep for data in AI inside Power BI Desktop you can go into. And your goal is to now not just make a semantic model for reporting, you're now trying to make a semantic model for AI. So now the data analyst has to go and say, what do I control? Which fields can the AI use? What context do I need to give it? So an example is like busy months may mean something different for different things. Like in Microsoft, our busiest time is Q4. If you're selling shovels for cleaning up snow, your busy times are probably October, November, and December. And so that context, where is that living in? People's heads at the moment. You can actually go into now Power BI Desktop and provide what we call the context, the prompts inside it. And that's where the analyst's responsibility increases. So yes, AI is helping them become more productive, but I don't see this as a job elimination. And I know like everyone keeps saying it, and I'm like, look, every customer that I've spoken to about AI, they're all about how do I get this rolled out fast? And I'm like, hey, someone's got to give it the context. They're like, who's going to do that? The data analyst. And this is where I think the data analyst role will kind of transform. Before they just cared about creating visuals and reports, they're now going to be focused on how do I create chat or how do I make it AI ready? So that hopefully address your question. There's like multiple questions in the back. Do you want to get the mic for questions in the back? Sorry.
Hi, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I just wanted to understand, provided the data is accessible, accurate, and clean, what's the accuracy that Copilot and Power BI together are giving us?
So so we run our own benchmarks today. It really depends on the data model. So you can have a clean data model, but you can have a lot of ambiguity. So Arun uses Copilot on top of his stuff, and the analyst had to go in and say which measures should Arun not use. So you could have a perfect star schema. AI could still struggle because there's just so many things. I'll give you an example, right? So like if I ask for what is revenue, and that's it, two people in Microsoft mean two different things against the same data model. For me, I mean the Power BI revenue because I'm the product leader for Power BI. Arun means fabric revenue. So that additional context of a user is a feature we're going to be doing is like user personalization. So Copilot remembers that Arun cares about fabric revenue and so forth. But currently, if you go into Copilot today, both of us, Copilot will ask us, what do you mean? So there's a lot of ambiguity resolution. And that's really kind of like to kind of address that need of like, even if you have you want to have a good data model. However, you have to understand that there's still context you need to give it for it to perform really well. But having a good data model gets you 80% of the way there. So that's kind of how you should think about it. And if you don't do that, like the problem is the question, depending on the question, the accuracy is over there. Our benchmark, we have a really difficult benchmark today. I think our benchmark runs about 71%. And I think our goal is to get to 80, and that's with like reasoning models and so forth. But like the benchmark is purposely designed to make it fail and see. And so like, just to show you, like we're constantly iterating and improving in this space as well. So that's hopefully to address your question.
Thank you. That addressed my question.
Cool. There's a question at the, I don't know, 2 rows ahead.
Thank you. That was a wonderful demo with the Copilot doing transformations on the data. So one question I had related to that is there a transcription of all the operations that happens?
Yes.
If the analyst wants to look at it later, what exactly happens?
So we have 2 parts. There's a chat history. They can see exactly what happened. And you can download that chat history and then keep it whatever you want. We also have integration with Purview, where we actually write for the administrator to see what people typed into Copilot. So if they want to ever extract it or audit it later as part of like, hey, what did people query inside Copilot? We give you the controls. And that's really our goal.
Not a text transcription, but exactly the data operations. Is that also available?
So the data operations are noted down for you as well.
Okay.
You can actually see the exact operations they did. I didn't show it in the demo, but you can actually see that as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we move on to our next speaker?
Wow, it's really hard to see there.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We really enjoyed it. My question is with respect to AI, that when you're performing operations on Power BI or any such application, with security point of view, whatever commands or whatever input you're giving into the model, does this store, or is there any kind of log monitoring happening behind that? What kind of inputs you're putting in? Is there any log being stored for it?
Okay, so there's two parts to it. What does Microsoft store, and what does your organization store? Microsoft doesn't store any of the data. So whatever you do against Copilot, we don't store the data. Because there's no use for it for us. Like, we don't train on the data. We don't use it for anything like that. So from a security perspective, we build on trust. You've heard this spiel before. So we don't use the data from ourselves. An organization can use Microsoft Purview, and I think I was mentioning this earlier, and they can actually see what users are typing in. So if they want to improve it for their own users and know, like, lots of users asking this question, it's not working, you can actually integrate with Purview against Fabric, and then an admin can see all of the commands that are being done. So as an organization, you can completely audit it. Microsoft doesn't store any of the data. We don't use any of that data, and really, we have no need for that data either.
And with respect to ambiguity that we were talking about before, if there, of course, there are job opportunities still available, and you're still working in your field as in the AI. And of course, AI has really helped to analyze data. But whatever use you're taking in with AI, do you have to go through the entire data just to make sure that there is no problems that arise in the data? Or can you 100% believe in whatever data has come up through AI? Is that right or not? Or do you have to manually go through and check the input, everything?
So there's a couple of features that we did recently. We shipped it like a week ago. There's how Copilot arrived at this tells you exactly what query Copilot did. So we had that just for pure transparency. We also have something called verified answers, which Arun kind of showed, which is when you create an answer, you can actually say, this is the answer that I wanted. So when Arun says, show me my product leaderboard, you can say, Arun, we're not going to guess it. We're going to return you a stamp that an author has already said, this is the answer to your question. And because we do these things, we give you that transparency. We're going to also give you a new capability that basically says I don't want AI to generate an answer. I only want it to find an answer. And that is to, again, control the tweaking of the dial of how much you want to be safe versus you're okay for the AI to generate. And I think you're going to find a balance depending on the data. If you're dealing with very highly confidential data, you might not want it to guess too much. If you're okay, where it's like, okay, let me just see, I'm just trying to analyze like products, poverty, like I was just showing you, right? As long as I can see the query and I know it's what it's done, I can kind of understand it. Sometimes they'll put the wrong measure, like, I don't know, instead of GDP, it brings GNI, and I'm like, okay, I can see it's clearly brought in the wrong field. Let me just change it. So it really depends, but we've given you a lot of controls that we just released a week ago. So I highly recommend you try it out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No worries. Cool.